Welcome to a special coffee with yours truly, Rainbow Dragon, aka Adrian Hanna Dragon, yours truly, independent aspie artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical, analyst, and theory. Gonna stir the coffee, and I'm gonna proudly present my new mug. New mug, thank you, anonymous friend who wasn't my friend because of the money, because I never had any. It wasn't my friend because of the money, because I never had any. It wasn't my friend because of the money. Because I never had any. Rock and roll special freestyle edition. Special. A rare occasion from this independent aspie, got at Asperger's HFA, athlete, artist, philosopher, geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, or geopolitical theoretical analyst and mystic. We're gonna lift a cup, and beautiful cup, auctioning it for a million, because it's the third time that I drink from it from last night until today. I started last night on the solstice, celebrating the solstice, and I put some sugar in it to do a little bit of the sweetness, and sweetening it up. So I'm gonna give my gratitude first and foremost, always. Comments begin with gratitude, grateful, thankful that my rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee, and I actually almost ran out of coffee, but just in time, about 3.5 days ago, somebody donated me a little bit of that instant coffee. So grateful, thankful, paid my rent. It is December 22nd, so rent gonna come up again in January, but for the month of December, my rent here in this underground room house in Temple is paid. My electricity bill is paid, got food, got coffee, and got some sandwiches. So we're gonna go on a rock and roll special edition. Always gotta give some LOV to the truckers on the road now. Be careful out there, some minus 11, and the truckers, the nurses, the doctors, first responders, those in the food, of course, in the grocery store clerks, all across the fast food, across Canada, Quebec, and across the greater North American civilizational complex, aka that North America, sending some LOV to the thousands of truckers going east, west, north, south to replenish our supply chains, for the workers, the butchers, the electricians, the plumbers, those, of course, who are on that strike. Let's get that global dragon union for the North American Collective Workers Party rock and rolling, starting today, December 22nd, the North American Collective Workers Party, this Canadian, Quebecer, North American who was born 3 times in the USA, post 76, once as a woman, twice as a man, served as a man both times, served in the United States Army, same army, in the 2 different wars, same army, 156 years apart, the army. But right now we got to get that coast to coast collective, and with consent and hygiene, my main message is hug like you never hugged before, like a whole period of hockey is 20 minutes, or NFL football, gridiron, go 49ers, please. NFL National Football League, NHL National Hockey League, NBA National Basketball Association, MLB, please, ASAP, reduce the costs of the tickets by 44.9%, and I would have loved to have 44 billion when Trump got officially elected right on the November 6th of this year, 2024, now being December 22nd, and Sunday special Sabbath, finishing the Sabbath tonight, and the special rock and roll. If I would have had 44 billion, I would have taken 10%, which would have been the equivalent of 4.4 billion, which would have been 4,000 million, and because a billion has 9 zeros, and I would have, of course, went and distributed across North America to homeless, veterans, and black, white, and brown, whatever the case may be. I would have given 50,000, I would have whispered, this is your second chance, this is my redemption, this is your second chance. It's ain't no way if I would have had millions and billions, I would have not given charity to give people second chances on this tough holiday, because with 50,000, I guess that person XYZ would have been able to restart. And of course, I had my own second chances right here in February, March 2020, when I was struck by COVID. COVID was like pestilence, death and disease, pestilence, death, pestilence and disease, right here in this underground room of St. Temple, when I died in February 2020, and I'm being reborn here right in this underground room of St. Temple. And in the past 45 months, I learned to manage my characteristics, because some say symptoms of Asperger's, but they're not. It's not a mental illness. It's not a disability in the sense, although we Aspies, people with Asperger's, HFA, high functioning autistic, in certain things we are less able, we have less abilities in the social sphere, and other things which were very weird. But my kingdom, my domain is 24/7 geopolitics, and I'm an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and rock and roll 24/7 for the farmers, for the butchers, for the bakers, for the nurses, for the truckers on the road, construction workers, Hydro-Quebec workers. Got to give some LOV Sunday to those Hydro-Quebec workers now on the road with those big trucks. If there's any electricity missing, they're gonna go fix it. So we need to build more dams, and shout out to the workers of the past 20th century who built the dams of Hydro-Quebec here to have clean, zero pollution, zero emission energy, and for me to have this light and be able to do this video, which is my work, salute. LOV, gotta send some LOV because it's not all about the money as I'm freestyling from this underground dragon's lair, right? Financially stressed. I'm just financially stressed at the moment. My only stress is financial. But I got Roku, I got, of course, Netflix, and got it on that special. So I'm grateful, thankful I can watch The Umbrella Academy, The Umbrella Academy, The Umbrella Academy Season 4, which I didn't watch. So I'm grateful for the little things. And, of course, got a little bit of sugar in this cup of coffee. And it's still good, I believe. I'm not sure. But the coffee which was donated is instant. I don't usually buy instant, but I gotta say with a little bit of sugar is not bad. So it's original roast, but of course here, I'm not sure if it's the best before date. The best before date is January 28, 2021. January 28, 2021. Or if it's 2028, because below there's a 20 and a 01 and 28 and 28. 0, 20, 20, and that might be the year, and there's like 400. There's different numbers, but I don't see the best before date. That might be that this is when it was produced and manufactured 2021 January, when it was sealed, because it was sealed when I got it. So but that means that if it's the 2028 year, because I don't see the BB, usually best before date, the BB, or the EXP expiry date, because they're two different dates, and I have worked in food banks and they're two different. When it says expired, that means that you have to be prudent if you eat it or consume it after the expiry date. But it's best before date. Some products, they can last for years after the best before date. It's best that you consume it before that date, but even they have a shelf life that is extended. So those two, EXP means expired on the date, and BB, best before date, it's different. So you have to make that distinction, that discernment. It's not the same. Best before date is not the same as EXP, as expires. So you have to, when you read on the label and the year when it expires, you have to check all the products that you buy. My advice as a citizen consumer, or as a consumer citizen, as a citizen consumer, is that you verify all the labels. And then that's another aspect thing. Sometimes people think I'm weird. I inspect things very closely. That's another characteristics, because I don't like to use the word symptoms. And I gotta give a shout out to Aspie World, who in the past more than 45 months of watching, and I learned, of course, because we live with the same condition, which is a neurological mental divergent condition, not a mental illness. It is a neurological mental divergent condition, having Asperger's and being on the autistic spectrum. We just see our brains are wired differently, and we're very good at some things, but we're less able at certain things. And people call obsessive interest, but for us Asperger's, it's normal and totally, we're at ease when we're focused, and we're super concentrated and super intense when we are involved in those special concentrated interests. I call them special concentrated interests. And mine is the Holy Trinity, Rainbow Dragon's Holy Trinity is geopolitics. From the mornings, day, and 24/7 is geopolitical study and analysis and theorizing and revision, all the geopolitical events of the day, of the past, of the 20th century, which I specialize in 20th century. And of course, it's sports and fitness. Dancing is my favorite sport, and fitness activity, which I prefer, is dancing. And my favorite sport is dancing. And with that, the rock and roll, as I love to rock and roll. So again, it's still good, even if it would have been best before date 2021. So it's gonna be 4 years plus more, but still, it's still good. I gotta say, instant coffee, it's still good, 100% pure coffee. So I don't really detect, because I bought it in the past when it was on special, I don't really detect any special dilution or any distinction if it's not certain that is the best before date, because I don't see the XP. It's a bit shaded, but as you can see there, see, there it is. So anyways, I'm grateful, thankful for it. So it's still good. The instant coffee is still good. So gonna give a little bit of a shout out again to the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors. Gotta give some love to the firefighters, LOV to the firefighters on the road now. Gotta salute, and I got some sandwiches, and all those preparing food. Food security starts with the farmers and construction workers, as I will, and I credit, trillions of kisses, and credited for yours truly, for the forgotten goddess. Kisses I got by the train, some push-ups, some massage therapy service, feet washing, XYZ, which the body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. And myself, I've been saying for 5 years that on my fitness journey, as I've embarked 7 years ago, that I I've been craving a massage therapy session. But last night I was able to take about an hour, 66-minute bath, maybe 93-minute bath, more than an hour bath. And that, of course, compensated for not being able to afford the massage therapy session, which I will say, I could live without. But millionaires finance the firefighters and massage therapy sessions, finance the firefighters and massage therapy session, finance the firefighters a massage therapy session. And please, I hope somebody who's a millionaire this holiday seasons and gonna do a lot of charity tomorrow. You still got chance on the 23rd of December, even on the 24th to go. I would have went if I would have had 44 billion. I would have taken 10%, which would have been the equivalent of 4.4 billion, and I would have went incognito, hoodie on, dirty hoodie on, and incognito. I would have went and given 50,000 to men, women, black, white, or whatever the case may be across Quebec, across Canada, across North America, because I'm a Quebecer, Canadian, North American, and I would have distributed 50,000 to individuals at random, those who are in need, vulnerable, homeless, and I would have said, rent an apartment, rent a room, rent a hotel, motel room, whatever you have addictions, just get rid of them slowly and get your life. This is your second chance, and this is my redemption, because I got my own plenty of second chances, and I died during COVID, but I have my financial stress at the moment, although I had many employments and opportunities of employments, which I had during COVID, many jobs for a few months, a few weeks, and contract-based, few months, a few weeks, and I think I was prolonged or extended, but of course it's something we Aspies, Asperger's, who have HFA, high-functioning autistics, encounter many difficulties and many rejections, many across the years, and I guess I'm going to be living with the scars, and always grateful, always encouraging all though to work out, train, exercise, working out, training, exercising. Have been them and will continue to call for the mass financing across the North American Collective for people to work out, train, exercise. I've created my own workout training program system back in 2019 in October, designed to go hand in hand with a World War III scenario. You heard that correct. I've got proof of work, and I created back then in October, November, the General War Integrated Whole Body Training System, of which I perform myself more than 372 sessions, in which I'm advocating, of course, the implementation in high schools across the North American Collective, Canada, US, and binational affair. My initiatives protocol are fundamentally public-private partnership based, PPP based. When I say support the dream, the dancing goddess, and the dragon kingdom, it's fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership across the collective North American civilizational complex, and this Quebecer Canadians say no to the tariffs. We got to find an alternative, and I am for the creation and the implementation of the North American Democratic Republic as centralism, a central integration, just like the European Union parallel, for based on my philosophies and geopolitical theoretical philosophies, based on, of course, years of analysis and in-depth analysis of the events. And of course, I have predicted an international conflagration back in 2019, and of course I relate back to that event, because back then I predicted what's happening now in a general manner, not in an overall with detail by detail manner, but in a general manner. I was able to predict what's happening and unfolding now across the North American Collective and beyond, across all the world, the geopolitical situations and the wars and the conflicts which have arisen. And if I can make a summary, is that I've concluded that due to the fact that many unresolved conflicts from the 20th century, they're going to have a spillover and they're going to restart in the 21st century. So that is a lot of what's happening now across the world, and potentially China, Taiwan, and other geopolitical conflict, which is potentially on the horizon as I speak. China might invade Taiwan, the island of Taiwan, which is a conflict from the 20th century. Taiwan is known as the Republic of China, ROC, Taiwan, and the People's Republic of China is the mainland China, which is known as the People's Republic of China, the 1.4 billion populated mainland China, was recently developed more nuclear warheads, and so has speeded up in the past 3.5 years. Their alliance fortified their alliance with Russia, a strong alliance they have formed with Russia and China and North Korea axis, and Iran is in it. So I'm not going to go into geopolitical discussions, because that's 24/7, if you will, blah, blah, blah. To commission any geopolitical works, of course, it's always on the table as parallel to invite all to support my dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, which is fundamentally a PPP for security, service, and defense and rebirth, and to build 44 tunnels. Bless, to build 44 tunnels across North America in terms of a thermonuclear war, based and inspired by the Montreal Underground city, and the Tokyo sewage system, which is a mega project. So we need to get building 44 tunnels across the North American Collective in terms of a thermonuclear war, but it would consent hug like you never hugged before. It's this December 22nd, and of course I'm going to discuss biblical mysteries, mysteries of the Bible, in the context that when you say God, I also say goddess, GODDESS, who credited me trillions of kisses, and by those kisses and feet washing, let's build together on the Canadian-US border the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and the Forgotten Goddess Temple. That's my will, to build something, a structure, Forgotten Goddess, GODDESS Temple, the Forgotten Goddess Temple. Because they got plenty of arenas, plenty of coliseums, but where the Goddess Temple at? If there's something that I will to build, and construction workers, LOV on steel toes, gonna rock and roll, wash your feet, massage your kisses to build it. on the Canadian-US border. You know, that's what money is, to finance. And I am got a little bit of a crane fetish. When I see cranes, I do a little bit of mental exercise, and of course always meditate where they were built, what is the capacity of the crane, and had a crane operator, crane operator. I wrote actually a song, well, actually trinity of songs for crane operators during COVID, you know, crane operators. I gotta give a shout out to the crane operators, man. If you're a crane operator, LOV, big hugs, big loving. You know, I play black and white on Rainbow Love, you know, part of the LGBTQ community myself, or the androgynous pansexual. You know, you get that 50-50, but I'm a centrist, pro-labor and love, revolutionary centrist. And, you know, crane conductors, crane operators of Quebec, crane operators of Canada, crane operators of North America, because we got to get that binational, like the NHL, National Hockey League. Please reduce the cost of the tickets, and that NBA, you know, it's always binational. We got to work together on a common passport, and I'm putting on the table an initiative to have a great North American passport together linked in the common currency, the universal exchange unit, by my DRT theory, the debt refusion theory, which is the only solution moving forward in the 21st century. Paradoxically, as I said, we got to focus with solutions, and we have to get that DRT, debt refusion theory, and create the UE, and of course get that coast to coast Operation Northern Scorpio, and have the implementation ASAP of the great North American collective census, the great North American collective census, the great North American collective census, and form new databases. Microsoft inviting my Bill Gates, brother of the Scorpio, Microsoft and Google and all the tech corporations and the public-private partnership, the governments, the institutions, to have and implement the great census, the great North American census, to see all the population that exists in Canada, United States, and if Mexico, if they will, but binational affair first, Canada, to implement the DRT first, of course, coast to coast, and Operation Northern Scorpio. My brothers and sisters, the king is absent. The king is absent, the king is absent, and we need to get everybody who lived here in the more than past 7 years since I marked, of course, 7 years in 2017 in September and August. I went to BC, British Columbia, and Vancouver, and then in September I went, of course, all the way to Halifax, Nova Scotia. And that event, of course, changed my whole life, and I was depressed and suicidal prior to that event, and I moved here really with nothing. When I came here, I don't even remember like more than 7 years ago, 8 years ago plus, when I moved here, I had really nothing. You know, I had my own struggles and being depressed and suicidal, and right after I came out of being depressed, when I crossed Canada coast to coast, that event in my life made me come out of being depressed and suicidal. And of course, crossing Canada coast to coast made me had a kind of like an awakening. I said, so much here to do in the great Canada, you know, and I got Canada tattooed right there, Canada. And of course, to my brothers and sisters and all who come to join us, to move forward in reconciliation in these tough economic times, and to get that public-private partnership and implement Operation Northern Scorpio, because we have a scorpion species which comes all the way north and is the only scorpion species of scorpion which comes in all the way to Canada. Comes all the way to Canada is the Northern Scorpio species. It comes all the way to Canada, the Northern Scorpio species. And I will to build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, to have sports events, and please, NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB, and salutations to the new PVHL. Great victory yesterday, 4-3 against Toronto, the Professional Women's Hockey League, and that's going to be, when I have money, that's going to be my next expenditure, to get the Professional Women's Hockey League jersey and do a lot of dances as Rainbow Dragon is aka Priestess Hannah, Rainbow Dragon is Priestess Hannah, Rainbow Dragon is Priestess NAH, Hannah. Yours truly of the Forgotten Goddess Temple, which I will to build on the Canadian-US border. And gotta salute the construction workers. Construction workers on steel toes going up those cranes lanes. Gotta switch it for the truckers and the butchers and the bakers and those grocery store clerks. Gotta rub it, gotta clean it. It ain't all gotta see it. Ain't all about the money. Gotta rebirth here with the milk and the honey. Gotta get a cup of coffee for the LOV. You see, I'm just financially stressed now, but always open for business 24/7. Rock and roll geopolitics, and I'm pretty much joyous, but financially stressed. And I cannot stress enough the importance of regular physical exercise. You can see hundreds of my workout training program videos dating pre-COVID. And of course, I survived COVID March 2020, so it's going to be marking 5 years, and I'm marking 5 years since I predicted an international conflagration, and since I created an efficient, effective workout training program system, which I've efficient, effective workout training program system, known officially titled as the General War Integrated All Body Training System, which requires no equipment. You can do push-ups and hogs and squats, and requires no equipment whatsoever. So here on the mountain, as I go on the mountain of Montreal, Mount Royal, I live on a metropolis island. Montreal is surrounded by a big river and it's 2.5 million people and is the second most populated in Canada. I believe seventh or eighth, top 10 in North America. And of course, Canada, US, Mexico included, New York City, San Francisco, and Mexico City is big metropolis and metropolitan areas. But Montreal is in the top 10 and we got great skyscrapers. And here in Quebec, we made what I call the great linguistic compromise of the French language as we continue to do. And please make an effort. Friday I came out from after my 6 hours marching workout dance in the mountain. I went to top Mount Royal Belvedere Conjurenac, which is my second home. Top the mountain Belvedere Conjurenac. It's about 13.4 kilometers from this underground room of St. Temple in NDG, Montreal. And of course, sometimes you can take like a snake, and it can be more than 13.3 kilometers, 13.4. And I met somebody when I came back. We were both admiring the holiday lights put in Westmount holiday lights, and I was admiring. They said hello. I said hello. We had a little bit of chat, and they were from Saskatchewan, and had a little bit of pleasantries and had a good humorous exchange. And I asked them how was their French, and they said it's okay. They're trying. It was not said. They were honest. They said it's not so good, but we're working on it. So I said, now's your opportunity to work on it with myself here. Is perfectly bilingual, who also learned a little bit of a Spanish in the past 7 years, and I can manage a little bit of a Spanish conversational level. But I love my French and English and French, and I also love these Spanish languages of North America, But here in Quebec, 10 million Quebecers ourselves, and sometimes we gotta make an effort, and we made it so far in the 21st century, 2024, without having a conflict, and we got to resolve the conflicts in a sportsmanship like manner. It's super important to channel the aggression. Super important to channel the aggression in sports, in exercise, in fitness, because personally I do not like violence. I do not like violence, but I'm also hyper vigilant because I also live my own trauma and have plenty of scars on the body and flashes of trauma. Was surprised attack a few years ago in the Montreal metro, hit my head on the floor and had a dislocated right arm. Went to the hospital emergency. They replaced it and was given medication. And for a few days I was like in a coma, and I have a blackout, retrograde amnesia to my life prior to that event and prior to moving here is a bit on the blackout, but right here in the past struggles and years and being depressed, suicidal while crossing Canada coast to coast, I had a revelation and I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, Consider Canadians North Americans family, my brothers and sisters in the USA, always LOV for the 50 states. And I don't know about that 51 states because we're a 40 plus million country, but I do believe in the North American Union in a centrist way, public private partnership, but we need to also take care of the more vulnerable and financial stress I live in myself, and we need to build more social housing, and we need to play that defense only like that hardball ball. We need to play that defense only, defense like coast to coast, ocean to ocean, in terms of North American collective, biblical mysteries times, because I can go on and on about my geopolitical situations and complexities, and of course the initiatives of public-private partnership base, which I put on the table 24/7, and always got to give a shout out to the firefighters, LOV to the firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, train conductors, hey, on the trains. Keep in mind that last year was formed the Canadian Pacific Kansas City merged, created a big railway corporation which goes Canada, United States, Mexico for the first time. We have linked railways, because before we had Canada, US joined, but now we have Canada, US all the way to Mexico City, Mexico. A big railway, if not one of the biggest mergers in the world last year, 2023, the Canadian Pacific Kansas City Rail. So my initiatives are the new 911 protocols for security, defense, and service, and making with a citizen integration theory and mobilization of citizens to make a new databases and a new passport, collective parallel to the European Union, parallel in equivalent, but with North American characteristics, because North American civilizational complex, or the complex of North America, we are fundamentally a unique, not indifferent to unique in that we're different special, because everybody got some little specialties in their own civilizational complex, but we're a new emerging civilizational complex in North America, of course, founded by many immigrations and families, and myself a mystic believing in reincarnations. I was born sometimes a man, sometimes a woman, sometimes a man, sometimes a woman. You get that 50-50 now. I was born many times, many incarnations, right here on the island, right before even 1535, and many incarnations. I served in the United States Army. I served also at the beginning before the RCMP was known as the RCMP, and sometimes I was a woman who was a servant to the Coureur de Bois in the 1700s. And you see, this right here says, les oiseaux de l'Amérique du Nord, the birds of North America. The birds of North America. So this I found in the second-hand shop, and I'm auctioning it for $1 million. $1 million everything that I have. I'm auctioning 93% of everything that I have, and to give half 50% to my anonymous friend. What is my friend? Because of money, 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 money. So I'm auctioning everything that you see here, the flags, and to start anew, except for maybe some items, which I acquired during the past more than 7 years since I gotten out of depression. But see here it says the birds of North America. So fundamentally, I'm a North American philosopher. Quebecer, Canadian, North American philosopher. North Americans, we constitute a new emerging civilizational complex that is not only divorced, but is distinct. It has distinct features from Western civilization. So we're not divorced from Western civilization, but we are distinct. So we're not divorced from Western civilization, but we are distinct. We're not divorced from Western civilization, but we have distinction. So that is my philosophy as a philosopher. Rainbow Dragon, gonna discuss now biblical mysteries, forgotten goddess. Because if you're gonna say God bless, to me, you probably have to be aware that I might respond goddess, GODDSS, goddess bless, and it happens often in conversation. So, and also being an ASPE, I have to have some patience and some understanding of my condition, because we don't mean to offend. We just sometimes we're direct, or we can seem abrasive, but it's not to offend, and we show compassion by action. It's just because social skills and social dynamics sometimes come harder to people with Asperger's who have HFA, high functioning autism, and we have our own obsessive interests and own strengths, and also less able in certain things. I am less able myself, and I lost a lot of friends. I made a lot of friends in the past 7+ years, more than 7 years, especially when I went to the Pride parades. But after a few phone calls, a few hugs, whatever, there were no callbacks, and that's a weird, but that's okay. Friends with benefits only now. Pledge your allegiance, legions, dragons. Nobody's born a dragon, not even myself. Took blood, sweat, and tears to turn that A into a no, officially to change my name yet, but takes that finances and whatever have you to change officially the name. But in my heart, I'm changing it even today as I go past this holidays, and 2025 officially gonna have to change Adrian H. Dragon be born. Nothing that I want to go back to today. Carpe diem is all I got. And of course, with consent, hug like you never hugged before. Friends with benefits only. And I'm joyous, just financially stressed. But hey, I can tango for at least 40 days. Since I got enough food, I can calculate for another 40 days in case of a thermonuclear war. Do that 40-day ride, push-ups, hugs, blah, blah, blah. My workout training program system. Let's get that coast-to-coast Operation Northern Scorpio based on my total defense, total mobile defense theory, which I'm not going to go into a detailed discussion because that's part of geopolitics and defense, of course. Part of my defensive strategy in terms of what I foreseen more than 5 years ago. I foreseen what's happening now, and I developed in the past years, especially during COVID, the total mobile defense theory, which I'm not gonna divulge much of it because of course it has to be with public security, my continuity, of course, in the past, having done, of course, different works with CSIS, Canadian Secret Intelligence Service, and the RCMP, whatever have in the past years. And of course, for the collective North American civilizational complex, pledge your allegiance, biblical mysteries. That is what it is, biblical mysteries. And gonna discuss the mysteries of the Bible, biblical mysteries. Mysteries, some things, sometimes the mysteries are right there in front of us. And of course, sometimes we wonder, because we know spirituality, and I can be totally secular. Rock and roll is pretty much my spirituality. Is pretty much rock and roll and dancing, and rock and roll dancing. And I love that hockey and football, gridiron, North American football, not soccer. Soccer I don't mind, but I can get that North American football, aka gridiron, and dancing is my favorite sport. And I love to dance. Dancing is my favorite sport. Dancing is a sport, and I love boxing, challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border, and have been challenging Donald Trump since ever the impositions of 10% tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel back in 2018, when Donald Trump first imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel, and my anonymous friend got me those gloves. Now they're a bit ripped, so when I work out with them, the puff comes out, so I'm auctioning them for $1 million, and I've lost between 80 and 93 pounds since I started my fitness journey, always encouraging all to work out, train, exercise, and working out, training, exercising has been, is, and will be my medicine and therapy of choice. Mysteries of the Bible. But before mysteries of the Bible, I get into it, I'm going to do a little bit of singing for the workers. Hey, those butchers and the bakers and the nurses and the doctors, those grocery store clerks stacking up. On the railroad, the choo-choo train, they go east and west and north and south, and the truckers changing lanes. By the thousands, by the dozens, with the supply chains, they going east and west. They gotta get some gas, ain't all about the money. Wall Street gives some charity, it ain't all about the money. Gotta get Wall Street some charity, it ain't all about the money. Hey, sometimes gotta get some LOV, that redemption that you see. For the bakers, for the cooks, and for the welders, construction workers on steel toes, on the cranes building skyscrapers. Hey, on the cranes building skyscrapers. IT workers, no need to spy on me. No need to spy on me. I've been rock and roll, and so you see. Rock and roll is so you see. Rock and roll is so you be. I just want to interject because I'm celebrating about 45 plus months since last time that I watched pornography. Not out of morality. I do not morally object to pornography, but I stopped actually. Didn't watch pornography in more than 45 months. And of course, I am androgynous pansexual androgynous, but I did not watch pornography in more than 45 months. Gotta give myself a little credit. And I'm only looking for friends with benefits now. I'm not really looking for anything serious. If I marry anybody, it's gonna be only one person in terms of open BDSM switch marriage, open BDSM switch, open, I guess, maybe even, special type of marriage, 21st century. But I'm not looking just for friends with benefits only, pledge your allegiance, that's it, that's all. And I love my rock and roll, and I have great hope for North America. I have great hope, even though tough times are coming, tough times are coming these days, and we got to be implementing, of course, the policies for the North American Collective. And since 2018, I've been challenging Donald Trump on a boxing match toward the Canadian-US border, to get it on the go. And of course, it's rock and roll, not for sure. Let's go some more rock and roll. For the truckers and the butchers and the nurses and the doctors, grocery store clerks. Gotta sing it, you believe it. Gotta sing it so you see it. Gotta sing it so you be it. Hey, it ain't all about the money, it ain't all about the money. Got a flavor for the honey, for the pots. Hey, gotta give it for the swing, for the left and for the bing, for the bling. Hey, gotta sing it for you see, gotta sing it for you me, gotta sing it for that you and me. It ain't all about the dollars. Sometimes you gotta just holler. Hey, it ain't all about Wall Street. Gotta sing up in your B. Hey, go up into me and you and us. Gotta get the Canadians coast to coast. Gotta get that maple leaf. I don't mind the stars and stripes. I was born right in the U.S. post 77.6. That George Patton you see. George Patton, that melody. That's a poem that's reincarnated right here on the December 22nd. Freestyle Rainbow Dragon. When you see it, when you're going. Gotta give some shakes those hips and those lips. I gotta get it for the butchers, for the bakers, for the singers, for the lovers, for the artists, for those firefighters. Go about it. Left and right, Montreal, we're gonna switch it to that French. Cause we in La Belle Province. Hey, and we gotta get it for the do, gotta get it for the do, gotta get it for the you. And we be for the XYC with you. I know gotta get it for the left and right and set it. Upset it. I gotta get the left and right. For the left and right and C. For the left and right you be. Gotta get it for the melody, gotta get it for the C. And another rocket on the C. Rocking on the coast you B, rocking on the coast you D. D plus C, gotta get it for the harmony. Gotta get it for the black and white, gotta get it for the rainbow side, gotta get it for the rainbow side. Hey, I gotta sing it for my homos. I played on that roll, homos. I love my LGBTQ community 24/7, Rainbow Dragon Rock and Roll. Put the firefighters up. Rainbow flag, what's up. Butchers and the truckers and the bakers and the nurses. Hey, so what if you can sing? You gotta get it for the rock and roll on the road. Hey, gotta get it for the rainbow with the black and white and rainbow. Gotta swing it as swing those hips on the window. Gotta get it. Hey, if I play that sound, I play a rainbow. Gotta give me some charity. I ain't got no money for the guitar, but I sing it anyway with the sparks on the scars. That you live it, that you see it. Montreal, we be it. Hey, Rainbow Dragons, that's a rock and roll, you see it. Rock and roll, you be it. Rock and roll, you do it. Throw the dice, but I don't gamble. Got those kisses and those kisses. Got those kisses and those melons. Gotta sing it for you, be it. Gotta sing it where you see it. Gotta sing it for the me. Gotta sing it follow D. For the instruction, reconstruction, truckers and the butchers and the nurses and the doctors. Gotta give me some firefighters. That's that Rainbow Dragon Rock and Roll 24/7, Right here, Quebecer, Canadian, North American. This is my home here in Montreal, and I love my fellow Quebecers, Canadians, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Let's get that North American united, and we gotta get it for the truckers, the butchers, the bakers, and if anybody wanna make that LOV with me, sometimes I go to the mountain, pledge your allegiance, and please finance the firefighters, the massage therapy sessions, millionaires, billionaires, boy. The firefighters deserve a massage therapy session, and firefighters, LOV, firefighters, the butchers, ambulance drivers, construction workers, railway conductors on the choo-choo train now going east, west, north, south, gotta get those on the lanes, and the switching on the trains, gotta give them on now how you do a meditation as a philosopher, all those trains, Canada, US, Mexico, crossing the border now, and the truckers, and of course all those flipping some burgers in the fast food. Gotta send some love to the fast food workers of North America, those in the fast food. Imagine now give me some raise, and please, millionaires, I hope they get some good checks, some good bonuses. And finally, we're gonna discuss forgotten goddess. The goddess, I do say goddess is a mystic, and that's what I will to build, the forgotten goddess temple right here in North America, forgotten goddess temple at the Canadian-US border on the mountain. So here we are, biblical mysteries. There's mysteries, mystics, prophets, but there's also the goddess, the forgotten goddess. And the goddess is in the Bible. For example, in Acts, the world of Acts, it mentions the goddess Artemis. Goddess Artemis is mentioned in the Bible, or what is called the New Testament. The stories of Rabbi Jesus, whatever the case may be, Rabbi Jesus of Nazareth, right? It's a relationship between the holidays and, of course, the biblical events, the stories which we know, because some things we don't know. Like, am I gonna say, on live that I scratch, I got scars, yeah, because I don't want China and the secret services of China, secret services of Russia, the Stasi or whatever to spy on me. I live freely, I'm weird. I have, of course, whatever the case may be. I'm a weirdo with Asperger's, and I have my obsessive interest and my sufferings. But here I am, discussing the goddess and my will to build the forgotten goddess, Geopolitiks. If I will to build something before I depart, piece of dust that I am, piece of dust with lust, with whatever the case may be, I will to build the forgotten goddess, Geopolitiks temple. And I have to put in some work as construction worker, and I can only know a little bit, and I can do some brains and some muscle, some labor. But I got to salute the construction workers, because they have the knowledge and the know-how. Just like some IT workers, in a parallel life, I'm also an Aspie artist, athlete, scientist, and I do, of course, music and whatever the case may be, rock and roll for the XYZ. But sometimes, I just got to live in the moment and accept that I have my neurodivergence, which has impeded me a lot of closed doors and a lot of opportunities and employment. But I'm managing my, I'm not going to call them symptoms, but conditions, circumstances, because that's what Asperger's is. Myself, I live with it, and I've been diagnosed for years and years, several diagnoses, and I always said no, until finally during COVID I said yes. I'm autistic, I have HFA, high functioning autism, I'm clearly Asperger's, so I accepted it. So I started to manage the conditions and to be aware of my neurodivergence, that I'm different in certain terms of the neurodivergence in parallel to the neurotypicals. And I struggled, I suffered, I've been depressed, suicidal, and nothing that I want to go back to. I gotta thank those farmers and the butchers and for the donations that I have the cup of coffee here from my anonymous friend, in this underground room office and temple. And that's what I gotta discuss today, the forgotten goddess, Geopolitiks temple. Say, people sometimes expect, I say to myself, when I say God bless, you might have to be aware that I might respond goddess bless, goddess, Geopolitiks. Some smile, some say goddess, and that's just part of spirituality. On the spiritual table, if you want to have a spiritual discussion, I'm gonna say goddess, goddess on the table, because for my spiritual table, there's the God and the goddess. There's not just God for me. It's not just God. And I don't know. So many things I don't know. I want to be Thelemik. So many things I don't know. I want to be Thelemik. But I do know that there's mysteries in the Bible, and there's a little bit of a Bible scholar who practices sun salutation, full moon, rock and roll 24/7. Geopolitiks. But some things which the rituals we have, and sometimes it's that rock and roll. We have to simplify things, right? With consent and hygiene. Rock and roll, and that's it, that's all. That's consent and hygiene are primary, in terms of dealing as individuals, and individual liberty, it has to be secured. Yeah, I have freedom, freedom, F-R-E-dom, freedom, see? Freedom. It says freedom there. Supposedly I got it in in New York, but I don't remember. My memory's blackouts, I remember mostly the past 7 years and coming here, moving here, and just restarting. As I'm restarting during COVID, and I'm restarting now. And sometimes you take that flesh, and that's what it is with that. And we gotta take it to your XYZ. So that's what it is in terms of the goddess, the goddess, the goddess, the goddess, the forgotten goddess, the forgotten goddess, the goddess. Just like the pyramids remained, so the goddess remains, whether we want it or not, whether I'm a piece of dust, tiny little scar, tiny clit, dick, clit, rainbow, whatever the case may be. The goddess will remain. I'm a piece of dust. The pyramids will remain. The sun will remain. I'm a piece of dust, but a piece of dust who wills to build nonetheless here in this North America, of which I'm part of from this life and this incarnation, and my brothers and sisters, Quebecers, Canadians. So if there would ever be an invasion, I'll be the first to join and defend, but only defense, as would be the case for my fellow brothers and sisters in the USA. I'll go running across the table if army of China or other armies go invade you. I'll go that drill to go to go defend my brothers and sisters in the USA, but only defense. That has to be clearly understood. I'm only taking defensive positions, not outside of the North American collective, coast to coast defense. That's my play. That's my play. That's my philosophy. My philosophy is defense. I say I owe nobody nothing, and that's it. That's all. I owe somebody because my friend gotta give me some of these. Look at this. I'm auctioning this. Thank you to my anonymous friend. This is one of the best shirts I ever got. I'm gonna dance as Priestess Hannah, and this to build the Forgotten Goddess Temple. See, it even has the pyramids on it. See the pyramids, I was discussing the pyramids. See the pyramids there? The pyramids remained. And the engravings, of course, of what we can categorize as the goddess, the GODDSS, the representations in a mystical form, they're still on the sides of the pyramids. So that's why sometimes when you say God bless to me, I'm gonna say Goddess, GODDSS, bless in response, in a response. So whatever the case may be, whatever the case may be. So that is what it is. The goddess is in the Bible. We just have to read and study. I can go in a diatribe, whatever the case may be, but Mary Magdalene, was she just a prostitute or a priestess? Because in the Bible, when you read from the New Testament to the Old Testament, Moses' sister, Miriam is called the prophetess. So she's connected to the goddess, however we want to put it. But that's the connection. That's why she's called the prophetess in the Bible. Moses' sister. The prophetess. I say, ain't no way that appellation would have been given unless she was connected to the mysteries of the goddess. The goddess. I'm a piece of dust. Pyramids will remain, whatever the case may be. whatever the case may be. So that is what it is. The goddess, the forgotten goddess. That's why I will to build the temple. Not that the goddess needs my temples, because my small little tiny clit, dick, clit, rainbow dragon, whatever the case may be, she doesn't really need it. The goddess is. Whether I am here discussing, conversing, and meditating on everything that's happening now and on defense and these tough times, of which myself having survived so many things, been depressed, been suicidal, right here on the island of Montreal, I played that defense, played that defense, but I will to build the Forgotten Goddess Temple, the GODDSS, goddess, goddess temple. That's a fact. That's my will to build. Parallel, hand in hand to the North American People's Imperial Coliseum for sports. Please, NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, donate and give some tickets to the public workers. Gotta salute. I'm gonna salute those who pick up the garbage. Tomorrow's gonna be the recycling and the garbage collection. There are also athletes. God has gotta be also some for the workers as well. 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 So regardless, nobody might see this, maybe one view on YouTube, regardless. For the goddess, I do it out of will, sometimes you get the will, and when you're perfect harmony with your will, then you have a little harmony, And yes, we have shadows, we have brothers and sisters, perhaps myself included. Subconsciously, racism exists. Here in North America, my black brothers and sisters, 13.3, 13.4%. I'd rather be, kissing, hugging, and playing football and kissing my black brothers and sisters than having, violence to commit to each other, We made it so far. Here in North America, 13.3%, 13.4%. 44 plus million North Americans like my, are blacks, black brothers and sisters. Sure, we have possible subconscious. We, even perhaps myself, I have to work on it. If I don't put something on the table to my black brothers and sisters, kisses, hugs, and money I don't have because I'm broke, but I have something else, whatever services with consent, and I played black, white, and rainbow, being part of the pansexual, being LGBTQ, bisexual, gay, bisexual, do all for my fellow homosexuals, black, white, and whatever the case may be, LOV, rock and roll for you 24/7. That's what it is. Because if I repress certain things, that's going to make me sick. It's going to make me sick. Gonna make me sick and ill, Gonna make me sick and ill. Well, just like the goddess is. The pyramids are remained. So the pyramids will remain after I'm gone. Piece of dust, Adrian Age Dragon, regardless of my Asperger's, my struggles, my sufferings, my my cravings for a massage therapy session, Fine as the firefighters, but ain't no way that I would have been that selfish, and I'm not totally selfless. I don't pretend to be totally selfless and that I don't have lusts and I don't crave for whatever massages and physical pleasure. I do. I crave sweets. I got some sweets left, so I crave sweets. I encourage you all to work out, train, exercise, I roam Hawk, HAWK, Montreal, Hawk Island. Goddess, the goddess. So now the interjection of the biblical mysteries. Another mystery which I'm going to introduce is the marriage of King Solomon of the Bible, the biblical King Solomon, marriage to the Pharaoh's daughter. Now this is a mystery. 1 Kings 3, 1 Kings 1:3, 1 Kings 1:3, 1 Kings 1:3. Because it begs the question. There's questions. How come, right? And that is exactly how it's written there in 1 Kings 3 in the Bible. That Solomon, the king, ancient biblical king of Judea, Israel, that the ancient king Solomon married the Pharaoh's daughter. So there's no, now the question revolves that, and the paradox is, if you study Egyptology a bit, how it was structured, the ancient Egyptian society, and we still don't know how the pyramids were built. I joke that, why men don't know how the pyramids were built? Because they were built by women. I said, why men can't figure out how the pyramids were built? Because they were built by women. I said, why men don't know how to figure out how the pyramids were built? It's because they were built by women, priestesses of the goddess. That would be a nice book. Anyways, so the fact is, in the Bible, it's written that Solomon married Solomon's daughter. Solomon, biblical king Solomon, who wrote the Proverbs and book of Ecclesiastes. From what we know, it says there he married Pharaoh's daughter, and right after, the parallel is he built the house and he built the temple. Now you have to understand that in that era, 3,000 years ago, the pharaohs of that time would have not given their daughters in marriage unless they were of the same dynasty. So that's the paradox. So that's the mystery of the Bible. The mysteries of the Bible, the 12 tribes of Israel. Who were these people of 3,500 years ago, of which Western spirituality revolves in many ways abound? So Pharaoh gave a daughter to Solomon, and it's written there, Shlomo HaMelech, Solomon the king, married the Pharaoh's daughter, the daughter of the Pharaoh. And right after, it says he built the house and the temple. So here you made the connection that there's no way, unless they were so related from the same dynasty. And then you go to the Bible, the name Israel, and you go to the Genesis chapter 50. See that Israel, Genesis chapter 50, it's written there that he was embalmed embalmed, and the ancient Egyptians mourned him for 40 and 70 days. Now this is again tied hand in hand. The ritual procedure of the mourning of Israel was tied hand in hand with the ancient Egyptian spirituality, religion, if you will. And then you ask, how come? So that's a mystery. That's a biblical mystery. It's written there in Genesis chapter 50. So sometimes those mysteries are, you see them. Sometimes you make the equation. How come? So the whole idea of slaves, because the word is a translation, it's not really a slave, it's servant. It's not really a slave, but it's servant. It's not really a slave, but it's servant, right? So I say, well, I'm going to serve the goddess, but the goddess, dances with the sun. So how am I going to serve? Well, I'm going to serve by dancing and meditating on all the things of the structure of the universe. The goddess's kisses, I say kisses, kisses by the twins which I'm credited from the forgotten goddess. But of course, those levels, I cannot reach all the mysteries, because some mysteries are not meant to be known. There's a mystery of the building of the pyramids, right? Now, of course, I'm doing this video, I'm live stream on Facebook. There's some science to it. Just like now, every second there's a sunrise and a sunset, and there's millions of stars in the body, the heavenly body. But you go back to the mysteries, and then you go back now, because it's approaching on the holiday season, on the Xmas, it's approaching the holiday seasons, Christmas. And you go in the Bible, and it says there, of course, of Jesus, Rabbi Jesus, whatever relationship we have. I have my own interpretation of Mary Magdalene as a priestess, as the goddess was repressed by whatever case may be, and was shut down because of XYZ, whatever the case may be. But nonetheless, it says that Jesus went into Egypt. When he was a youth, into Egypt. So that correlates again to the mysteries found with Solomon. He married the Pharaoh's daughter, and it's in the Bible. You can read it. What I'm saying, it's written in black and white. They're written in the text, the biblical texts. But these are mysteries. Because how come? Why didn't Solomon marry somebody to be king, somebody from Judea, from Judah, from Israel? And that is the whole movement back to Moses and Miriam being called. It's right there written, Miriam the prophetess, in Exodus 18. Just like in 1 Kings 1:3, 1 Kings 1:3, 1 Kings 1:3, and Genesis chapter 50, and Genesis chapter 50. And then to the biblical story of Joseph, if you are to analyze, study the Bible, you go to Joseph. And Joseph married Asenat. But this name, which relates to an Asenat, it's a name that relates to a goddess in ancient Egyptian. It's the name of, it relates to an ancient Egyptian goddess. So there is the forgotten goddess. And she is goddess, say God, yeah. But where the goddess at? Goddess is all around, Matter also is holy and sacred. The flesh, the body. Matter is also holy. The flesh, the body. The flesh, the body. So many things I don't know. I'm a piece of dust, Lust has his own peculiarities and weirdness and financial stress. And got the theories, the DRT theory for the solution of that financial stress nonetheless. And grateful, thankful I got made a tasty cup of coffee. And thank you, my anonymous friend, for this mug right here, So the goddess, I will to build a forgotten goddess, Geopolitiks temple, feet washing, massages, kisses, construction workers, anybody willingly loving, Quebec, Montreal, Quebec 24/7, the island Hawkeye of Montreal, It's December 22nd, hug with consent like you never hugged before, and I know somebody's making love, Let my children dance in the streets across North America and dance in the streets safely, prudently. Let's get that Dragon Army, public-private partnership, North American Collective Civilizational Complex, the DGA Dancing Goddess Army, and the Dragon Army, DGA Dancing Goddess Army. I will to found, the North American Integrated Dancing, DGA Dancing Goddess Army for environmental purposes, and the Dragon Army for security service based on my initiative, the Scorpio, Operation Northern Scorpion, the Total Mobile Defense Theory, the Total MTM, Total Mobile Defense Theory, TMDT, the TMDT, Total Mobile Defense Theory, which I'm not going to conjugate more in the coming minutes because, of course, it's going to take a whole apparatus and a whole lectures just to discuss it a bit as much as I can reveal in the public. And again, no need to spy on me. Secret services of China, secret services of Russia, but although we got to get that North American complex and get the new integrated 911s for security service protocols for the initiation of the North American civilizational complex defense coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and let's build together the North American Imperial People's Coliseum and the DGA, the Dancing Goddess Army, the DGA, the Dancing Goddess Army, the DGA, the Dancing Goddess Army. And that's what it is with that, to get it on the go now as we embark on a journey and a tough economic times. I gotta give a shout out to Auntie Freeland because I relate in a familiar way to my fellow Quebecers, Canadians, our family. I consider ourselves this family here, the great North American family. And I gotta say that we have to be a little bit on the wise because, of course, we have to avoid as much as possible the tariffs. The tariffs, 25%, we have to avoid it. We're North Americans, my brothers and sisters in the USA. I don't know about the 51st state, but I do believe in the public-private partnership integration of the North American civilizational complex and my DRT. And we need to do better. Millionaires, billionaires, we need to give some charity and build social housing and give people second chances. I got my own second chances, even third chances, with struggle and suffering and, all the trauma which I lived in the past, and the scars on my body and whatever have you. And right here, survived, and that's my will, that's something that I will to build. The Forgotten Goddess Temple, Goddess, GODDSS Temple in the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. Back to the biblical mysteries. The fact that there's mentioned Miriam the prophetess. Miriam the prophetess, that's the mention of the Miriam the prophetess. It's right there in the Bible. And there's a wannabe Thelemite who bury me with, the song is Bury Me with Papa Crowley up in Hampton, New Jersey. Bury me with Papa Crowley up in Hampton, New Jersey. Bury me with Papa Crowley up in Hampton, New Jersey. Up in the city of the pyramids, a third of me up in Mount Royal. A third of the 1/3 of me at the city of the pyramids, 1/3 of me at the Hampton, New Jersey, 1/3 of me on the mountain Mount Royal at the Belvedere, Conjurenac, which is my second home. Montreal Belvedere, Conjurenac, which is my second home. And right here on the Canadian-US border to build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum and the Forgotten Goddess Temple. Those two, plus the House of the Dragon. I only need a simple, austere, severe 21st century Crimson Scarlet. Crimson Scarlet are shades of red, my favorite color. Let's build the pyramid, House of the Dragon. I can have open house, open doors to public security forces, firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, and gotta send some LOV to those in the daycares, changing some diapers. And I've written myself a few children's books, but they're not being published because he required $500 to get a literary agent, but I wasn't able to get them published. But I've written more with the themes of North American based themes of firefighters and civilizations and environment and farming and construction work and all the things of civilization and nature. Those are mainly my themes in children's books, and some integrated in the themes of nature and civilization are the physical exercising, specifically dance moves for the youth, for the children ages basically 1 to 11, 1 to 11, like children, and I've written a few books already, many documents and theories and philosophies, geopolitical philosophies and theories and initiatives on several USB keys by hand, in this underground room off Temple for more than 7 years. And I do that on the daily because I'm an independent philosopher, the people's doctor. Always prescribe some workout fitness, some marching, some push-ups. Always some push-ups on the menu. Give Dragon some push-ups, LOV, rock and roll 24/7. And those gotta give a shout out now again, imagine all those firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, the truckers now on the road. Truckers by the thousand, gotta give some salutation going up. I don't know what they're doing, but of course, I know what they're doing because they're driving the trucks, and of course they got to be prudent on the lanes and prudent on the highways going east, west, north, south. But of course what they're carrying inside, but they're carrying bacon, probably cheese, probably some milk, probably some bread, probably some, of course, avocados and some other products, some lettuce, some beans, some corn, some sauces, some sodas, and some sweets, and much more than that. I mean, but across the supply chains now, which are currently translating 24/7, on the supply chains of Canada, 24/7, and 40 plus million Canadians, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. I gotta give some salutations, and to those power workers, Hydro-Quebec workers, once again, thank you, and builders of the past, public workers, and those who pick up the garbage. I got 3 services in my neighborhood: the garbage collection every week, garbage. Thank you. Recycling garbage, and parallel to the recycling and the garbage, is the compost, on which in 2018 I had the opportunity. I've had a few months opportunity employment, and I worked on the compost. So I was part of the team who brought in the compost to my neighbor. My neighborhood is a big 100,000 population in Montreal. So it's CDN. It's 100 CDN Côte des Neiges, not NDG. It's a merged borough. And I used to live in Côte des Neiges, but just remember moving and being here in this island row. Montreal, Hawk Island, right here, right now. Always meditating on what's transpiring across the North American Civilisation Collective across North America. And we got to give it for the bakers, the butchers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, and all those fundamentally who are involved in the production, distribution of food. I got to send them some LOV. It's not all about the money. Got to get some love in some biblical mysteries. We're going to close up and we're going to switch it to that French. So there's mention of the goddess, several goddesses in the Bible. And of course, the whole mysteries of the Bible, sometimes there's a lot of lost in translation. Take Mount Hor. In the Bible, Moses and the brother and sister Miriam. Moses and the brother and sister Miriam. The Moses and the brother and sister Miriam, the Moses and the brother and the sister Miriam, going on the mountain, Mount Hor. What is that exactly? What was that exactly? That's another appellation of the names, of the holy names, The connection, of course, for the temple. So the marriage of King Solomon to Pharaoh's daughter is a direct connection to the temple, because right in the following verse, after it's mentioned that Solomon, King Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, Shlomo HaMelech, Solomon the king, after he's mentioned that he married the Pharaoh's daughter, there is mentioned that the temple and the house were built in that same paragraph. So you get it? That's the mystery. Because, of course, the Pharaoh's daughter believed in also the goddess. Because the ancient Egyptian spiritual, religious, mystic religion of ancient Egypt, the occult mysteries of ancient Egypt, spiritual, religious, occult mysteries of ancient Egypt, the occult, spiritual, mystic religion of ancient Egypt included the goddess. And several goddesses. Supposedly there were actually just one, but many faces of the goddess, many faces or manifestations of the same goddess, many different manifestations of the same goddess, many different manifestations with the same goddess, many manifestations of the same goddess. But there were different goddesses, but for example, Isis, Hathor, Sekhmet were kind of one goddess, different power manifestation. And the Ayara was seen as a female deity, female deity, Sekhmet. Many mysteries, how it brought about, of course, to bring justice, right? The concept of Mat. And that relates, again, the 42 laws of Mat, which somebody had to keep, including the pharaohs, to maintain justice and order and harmony. The 42 is also connected to the Bible, the 42 journeys of the Israelites. The 42 journeys of the Israelites. That's mentioned. It's biblical. You can read it there for yourself. 42, the number 42 journeys of the ancient Israelites with Moses and Miriam and Aaron. Moses, Miriam and Aaron. Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, Aharon, and Miriam, the prophetess, who's called the prophetess. So those are mysteries there, right? So those mysteries there correlate again to the goddess. The forgotten goddess nonetheless. Who is, just like the pyramids remained. So the goddess has remained, whether I like it or not, or the goddess. sometimes whispers in my ear is limdick, tiny clit, and cuckold. And I said, yeah, I don't mind cuckold. Yeah, sure, I can do cuckold. I don't mind. Anyway, so the goddess, I'm gonna be on this holidays, 24th, 25th, and I'm gonna be grateful. I'm gonna meditate. I'm gonna continue calling for the building of the Forgotten Goddess Temple and the North American People's Imperial Coliseum and the Pyramid House of the Dragon and the North American Collective Union. The North American Collective Union, part of my dream, which is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership. Public-private partnership initiative, fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership across the North American civilizational complex, across the collective North American civilizational complex, across North America, for defense, security, and service, and rebuilding the neighborhoods. And please, by the New Year's, if not by this holiday, the Christmas on the 24th, 25th, millionaires, billionaires, by the New Year, starting the New Year's with lots of charity. Give people second chances. 50,000 checks. Here's your second chance. 50,000 checks. Here's your second chance. I would have done that if I would have been a billionaire. I would have definitely done lots of charity. I'm not totally perfect or selfless. I'm not totally selfless. I do not pretend to be. You know, I lust. I have cravings of the flesh. I enjoy sweets and bacon and wafers. And, you know, I love that BDSM switch. No need to spy on me. Secret Services of China, Russia. I love that BDSM switch. No need to spy on me. Secret Services of China. And yeah, you know, I played that defense. I am hyper vigilant because of my own trauma and survived, you know, surprise attack. And after that, I was like in a coma. I had my own Syrian pirate episode. So, but I have also great philosophies, especially the new 911 protocols for the North American Collective and the DRT Debt Refusion TV, to take all public and private debt and refuse it and create the universal exchange into the universal exchange into the universal exchange, to create the universal exchange into the universal exchange, and for the creation of the new Dragon Army North American Citizen Integrated Security Service Force. For the 21st century, my vision is a pro-labor and love-centrist one, and I'm going to have to end it on a rock and roll because I need to do that French, because it's the great linguistic compromise which we made here for that French. Gotta give it, gotta sing it for the butchers, for the bakers, for the nurses, for the truckers, for the lovers, for the youth. Gotta give it for the youth, for you know up and look. Gotta kisses on the trouble, gotta kisses on the double, gotta kiss it for the hug. Hey, I don't turn the other cheek, I owe nobody's shit. I gotta get that avenged, that 7 times 7-fold. Do the math, please. Gotta be avenged, that 7 times 7-fold. Let's do the math, please. Be avenged, that 7 times 4, please. I don't need but loving. Some loving and some bakers, some construction workers on the steel toes. Gotta build the forgotten goddess temple. Gotta build the forgotten goddess temple. Let's go, left and right, hard. Gotta give it for the double, gotta give it for the trouble, gotta give it for the right hand bow. Dragon rock and roll for the army, pledge your allegiance. For the army, pledge your allegiance. French, français, bien sûr, vous êtes dans la grotte du dragon arc-en-ciel, puis je viens de chanter une petite chanson de rock and roll de la belle province. Je vais commencer avec la gratitude. J'ai payé mon loyer pour le mois de décembre, payé ma facture d'électricité, j'ai du café, puis du thé, puis bien sûr, je commence avec une petite méditation. Votre artiste, athlète, philosophe, le dragon arc-en-ciel, qui a l'Asperger, l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, qui n'est pas parfait, loin de là, mais qui vous aime, puis qui j'aime ça vous voir en train sur la rue, en train de vous donner des câlins, puis vous tenir par la main, puis parce que c'est pas tout l'argent qui compte, hein. L'argent, ça nous fonctionne pour construire, pour établir, pour construire, pour faire du commerce, pour l'engagement social. Puis dans l'engagement social, ben avec l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, c'est aussi connu comme l'Asperger, je suis pas très apte, j'ai de la misère dans ces choses-là, mais j'y travaille constamment sur mes caractéristiques. Là, puis c'est quand même ma neurodivergence qui m'a fait quand même avoir beaucoup d'obstacles puis d'empêchements, puis j'ai perdu beaucoup d'amis que je me suis fait spécialement la parade gay, puis étant membre de la communauté LGBTQ moi-même, androgyne, pansexuel, philosophe, artiste, avec autisme hautement fonctionnel, ça a été un long chemin, disons, puis juste voilà 45 mois, parce qu'il y a ça fait plus que 7 ans qu'on m'a dit, ben, t'es Asperger, t'as l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, puis pendant bien des années, j'ai dit non, je voulais pas l'accepter, jusqu'à quand? Ben, j'ai dit, ben oui, j'ai l'Asperger, je suis différent, je suis neurodivergent, fait que cette neurodivergence fait que j'ai de la misère dans certaines circonstances, dans certaines relations sociales, mais ça a quand même des forces, puis ma force, bien sûr, c'est la géopolitique, parce que nous, les esprits, on a les intérêts obsessifs. Ben, moi, j'appelle pas ça comme des intérêts obsessifs. Qu'est-ce que vous appelez les intérêts obsessifs? C'est des intérêts spéciaux que les artistes hautement fonctionnels, on est super concentrés quand on est dedans. Fait que quand je discute de la géopolitique, quand je fais des analyses puis théories en géopolitique, puis bien sûr, je suis moi-même un philosophe, parallèlement un théoricien, analyste en géopolitique indépendant. Puis je dois dire, bien sûr, que j'ai prévu la situation actuelle. En 2019, j'ai fait une analyse parce que le mois d'octobre et de novembre, je fais des analyses de révision annuelles avec plus d'intensité, mais j'en fais au quotidien. C'est 24h24. L'analyse, la théorie, la révision en géopolitique, les événements de la géopolitique du jour, puis du passé, puis de la semaine, puis bien sûr mensuel, puis dans le passé, puis bien sûr, parallèlement à ça, c'est l'entraînement physique, le sport. Mon sport préféré, ben, c'est la danse. L'entraînement préféré que je préfère, j'adore la danse, danser, je danse. Puis bien sûr, avec la danse parallèlement avec la danse, c'est bien sûr le rock and roll. Fait que je dois débuter cette vidéo avec la gratitude. Même si maintenant, mon seul stress est financier. Mon seul stress maintenant est financier, mais quand même, tu sais, j'ai payé mon loyer pour le mois de décembre. On est le 22 décembre, fait qu'il va falloir que je le paye encore le 22 décembre, bien sûr. 22 décembre, aujourd'hui, j'ai payé mon loyer, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité aussi, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité. Puis merci à l'Hydro-Québec, travailleurs du passé, c'est pour ça que j'ai... Tu sais, la lumière, des fois, tu sais, on voit ça comme un privilège, mais c'est quand même un privilège pour avoir tous les privilèges de la civilisation. Ça, c'était une thèse que j'ai présentée en 2023 en tant que philosophe, le privilège de la civilisation. Puis les Québécois, Canadiens, Nord-Américains, on constitue un complexe de civilisation nord-américain. Et bien sûr, c'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on vise. Puis il faut qu'on vise dans l'intégration de l'Amérique du Nord. Puis bien sûr, il faut qu'on évite le plus possible. Puis qu'on fasse tous nos efforts pour ne pas avoir de guerre économique entre le Québec, le Canada et les États-Unis. Puis l'imposition des tarifs de 25%, c'est quand même un son d'alarme. Puis il faut faire le plus possible, même si j'aurais voté pour Joe Biden puis Kamala, il faut qu'on fasse le plus possible, mais dans une manière de sportsmanship, comme la Ligue de hockey nationale, puis la nouvelle Ligue de hockey féminin, la Ligue professionnelle de hockey féminin, la Ligue professionnelle de hockey féminin, puis ça, c'est, mais que j'ai de l'argent, ça va être mes prochaines dépenses pour acheter la victoire, le chandail de victoire du sport de hockey féminin, puis wow, quelle victoire hier contre Toronto, puis en tout cas, puis j'aime ça le hockey, j'aime ça le football américain, mais numéro un, c'est la danse pour moi-même, là, en tant qu'artiste-athlète, mais maintenant, je veux dire encore, faire un petit rappel, tu sais, de donner à la charité, si vous pouvez donner à la charité, là. Puis bien sûr, je dois faire un petit mot d'amour, puis du rock'n'roll pour les travailleurs publics. Les travailleurs publics, qui changent les aqueducs. Les travailleurs publics qui changent les aqueducs, puis ceux qui ramassent les poubelles de vidange, le ramassage de recyclage, les camionneurs sur la route, les boulangeries. Dans les boulangeries, ça fasse du pain, puis ça arrive. Ça bouge, ça à droite, ça à gauche, de la belle province, puis ça danse. Même dans la neige québécoise, sur le Mont-Royal, puis au-delà, des 17 régions, ça passe. Et le rock'n'roll que je vous chante, c'est en mode libre. Je vous envoie des bisous sur des étoiles, de l'arbre de Noël, le sapin, puis des châteaux, et puis ça fasse. Et regarde, puis sur l'autoroute, les camionneurs, que ça bouge, les travailleurs en construction, ça grue, ça monte pour les gratte-ciels. Pour les gratte-ciels, vous parlez pas d'amour, je deviens sourd. Si vous parlez pas d'amour, je deviens sourd. Je vous entends pas rien savoir. Si vous parlez pas d'amour, il y a eu Noël en arc-en-ciel, de votre dragon en arc-en-ciel avec le noir et le blanc, ça joue sa pack. Ça perd sa guitare, ça n'a pas de danse. Hey, ça bouge des pattes, des nez, ça danse, les oreilles, les orteils, ça bouge en arrière. Ah oui, c'est le rock'n'roll. C'est 24 sur 24, j'en compose des chansons rock'n'roll au quotidien. Puis aujourd'hui, bien sûr, ça c'est en mode libre, c'est plusieurs chansons que j'écris au quotidien, des chansons, mais en anglais puis en français. Puis j'en crée bien sûr au quotidien, c'est à tous les jours là, des chansons rock'n'roll, puis en français des chansons, puis en anglais aussi, bien sûr, bilingue comme Céline. Puis bien sûr, aujourd'hui, je veux quand même saluer les camionneurs sur la route, les infirmières, ceux qui font la construction, ceux qui sont les travailleurs publics, qui sont les chauffeurs des autobus, ceux qui sont bien sûr dans les boulangeries, en faisant du pain, puis bien sûr les travailleurs de l'Hydro-Québec du passé du 20e siècle qui ont travaillé pour avoir la lumière, c'était grâce à l'Hydro-Québec que je puisse faire cette vidéo aussi. C'est quelque chose en tant que philosophe que je médite toujours sur le privilège de la civilisation, puis bien sûr les camionneurs sur l'autoroute, bien sûr tous ceux qui travaillent dans l'agriculture, les agriculteurs, bien sûr tous ceux qui font de l'entraînement physique aussi, tu sais, l'entraînement physique, je vous encourage à en faire. C'est tellement un médicament pour moi-même. C'est tellement mon médicament de choix. Je le répète, mais c'est tellement ça fait du bien. Depuis que j'ai commencé en 2017, ça fait plus que 7 ans. Je célèbre 7 ans quand j'ai traversé le Canada. Là. Ça m'a vraiment fait changer toute ma vie. J'étais en dépression suicidaire, puis j'ai établi un esprit de corps solide depuis ce temps-là. Je vous considère famille, même si des fois on est dysfonctionnel. Des fois on ne voit pas toutes les choses, puis on se dérange un peu un et l'autre. On se donne un peu de tension, mais comme je dis, mais avec mon oncle, premier ministre, puis mon cousin Justin Trudeau puis mon oncle Legault des fois, mais il y a une sagesse que moi je possède pas, même si je suis pas caquiste, je suis indépendant, je suis pas un membre d'un parti politique, j'ai mes philosophies, mes théories, surtout en géopolitique, puis j'ai prévu la situation qui se passe maintenant d'une manière générale, je dois le répéter parce que ça fait partie de mon travail géopolitique indépendant en tant qu'analyste et théoricien en géopolitique, mais des fois avec mon oncle Legault, mais c'est sûr que 50-50, 70-30, 90 sur certaines choses, comme le français, tu sais, je dis souvent, mais mes frères et sœurs québécois et québécoises, mais ça prend un effort aussi parce qu'il faut qu'on le fasse nous-mêmes aussi. Puis si la personne fait un effort, il faut qu'on dise merci de faire un effort. Puis vous faites bien parce qu'il faut l'encourager aussi, l'encouragement. Parce que si nous, on ne le fait pas juste pour défendre le français par des lois puis par des philosophies, ça prend une autre manière aussi. Je le comprends bien. Moi aussi, je souffre beaucoup à cause de mon autisme, mon mode fonctionnel puis l'Asperger. C'est des choses que j'ai eu bien des obstacles à avoir un emploi à long terme. Ça a été 2-3 semaines, 2-3 mois contre des, à courte durée, là, parce qu'il y a beaucoup de malcompréhension. Qu'est-ce que c'est moi-même, ma condition de neurodivergence? Mais c'est sûr que dans le contexte du français, bien sûr que je dois dire que j'en compose des chansons rock and roll, je compose de la poésie, je donne des idées de cinéma puis de film, puis c'est ça que je vis avec ça, tu sais. Puis en vivant avec ces choses-là, c'est aussi comme, je dois faire un parallèle vendredi après que je t'allais finir mon entraînement sur le Mont-Royal. Le Mont-Royal, Belvédère, Condillac, ma deuxième maison, le Mont-Royal, par l'est de chez nous, 13,3 km. Puis bien sûr, j'avais fait une rencontre avec des citoyens canadiens qui venaient de Saskatchewan, puis on a parlé un peu, on a admiré les deux ensemble, les lumières à Westmount. Il y avait un arbre, comme un arbre, qui avait plein de lumière, bien faites, c'était bien beau, puis moi j'avais dit, on doit remercier l'Hydro-Québec premièrement, puis ceux qui l'ont mis aussi, tu sais, parce que ça travaille ensemble, puis il dit oui, puis après ça, on a communiqué en anglais. Je pensais que peut-être c'était nos frères et sœurs des États-Unis qui sont venus visite en Montréal. Mais après ça, je leur ai demandé, ils m'ont dit de Saskatchewan. Fait que je leur ai demandé comment est leur français. Fait que ils m'ont répondu comme ça, mais pas pire. Fait qu'on a échangé un couple de paroles en français. Puis je leur ai dit, mais bonne soirée, merci d'avoir fait un effort pour me dire de quoi en français aussi. Puis that's it, that's all rock and roll. Tu sais, c'est comment qu'on procède aussi, parce que si on veut, en tant que 10 millions de Québécois, de faire valoriser la langue du français puis la culture, parce que tu sais, c'est pas juste Céline Dion, là, c'est pas juste Bombardier, c'est bien d'autres choses du Québec. On a tellement de choses du Québec, là, à part juste, c'est pas juste l'Hydro-Québec, on a des fermes, on a bien sûr de l'architecture, on a plus que de 17 régions, puis on a bien de la culture, bien de l'humour, bien de la comédie, bien des choses comme ça, puis moi-même, incluant moi-même dans le Québec, en tant que Québécois, Canadien, Nord-Américain, en tant que Nord-Américain, Canadien, Québécois, votre dragon arc-en-ciel qui change du rock'n'roll, puis qui est autiste, qui, depuis 45 mois, apprend à faire la gestion de mes caractéristiques, parce que j'appelle pas ça comme des symptômes. Puis, ben oui, ben je sais que moi-même, dans certaines circonstances sociales, puis je suis bizarre, mais c'est ces relations que je dois y travailler dessus, je dois faire un effort constamment pour, pour, pour savoir, puis pour que je suis différent dans ce contexte de neurodivergence. Puis, mais j'ai mes forces aussi. Puis oui, dans certaines choses, je suis moins habile. Je ne suis pas capable dans certaines choses. Je suis moins habile. Je n'ai pas d'habilité dans certaines choses, parallèlement à d'autres, comme en géopolitique. La géopolitique, c'est 24 sur 24 dans ma tête. C'est un intérêt que les autres y appellent obsessif, mais c'est pas un intérêt obsessif de comment que nous, les Asperger, on le voit. Ceux qui ont l'autisme fonctionnel, c'est qu'on voit ça comme des intérêts spéciaux. Je préfère appeler ça des intérêts spéciaux. Puis on est concentré, intense quand on travaille dedans. Puis moi, c'est à tous les jours. Il n'y a pas un jour que je fais pas des analyses, puis des théories, puis des revisions en géopolitique. Puis en 2019, j'ai prévu la situation actuelle. Mais ça reste que même si je connais l'idéologie de la Russie, l'idéologie de la Chine, des autres pays, les conflits du Moyen-Orient, ça reste que je suis Québécois, Canadien, Nord-Américain. N'ayant pas vécu là-bas, je peux juste me prononcer d'une manière pour la défense, puis en tant que philosophe, analyste et théoricien en géopolitique, Québécois, Canadien, Nord-Américain. Parce qu'on est un collectif, les Nord-Américains, on constitue un collectif, soit un complexe de civilisation émergent qui n'est pas tout à fait divorcé de l'Occident, mais on a des distinctions avec l'Occident. On a une géographie différente, on a une infrastructure, on a quand même des relations différentes, des relations socioculturelles et aussi, bien sûr, dans les enjeux de l'Amérique du Nord, dans les enjeux du collectif nord-américain. C'est pour ça que je dis, il faut faire tout savoir, il faut faire tout l'effort pour ne pas avoir ces 25% de tarifs, pour ne pas avoir ces 25 25% de tarifs pour ne pas avoir l'implémentation de ces 25%. 25% de tarifs, bien que Trump il commence le 20 janvier officiellement sa présidence, étant officiellement chef d'État des États-Unis dès le 20 janvier, il faut qu'on évite, il faut qu'on soit sportsmanship, puis qu'on évite, parce que 25%, c'est un quart, c'est 25 cents pour chaque dollar, fait que c'est énorme, là, c'est énorme. Il faut qu'on évite ça de toutes nos forces, puis je suis bien sûr qu'on va être capable de le faire. Moi, je propose, là, bien sûr, un consensus de l'Amérique du Nord, un passeport nord-américain, puis la création d'une monnaie, oui, unité d'échange universelle basée sur ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, la théorie de la refusion de la dette, la théorie de la refusion de la dette. C'est la seule unique solution qu'il faut faire, puis des fois, c'est non partisan. Moi, je suis un centriste. Mais mon centrisme, il est intégré avec mes théories, ma trinité de théorie, la théorie d'intégration citoyenne, la théorie de la fusion démocratique, puis la théorie de la défense, la théorie de la refusion, la fusion, la refusion, la TRD, théorie de la refusion monétaire, de la dette. Théorie, R, refusion, D de la dette, la théorie de la refusion de la dette. La TRD, il faut faire l'implémentation, c'est des solutions, c'est la solution, il n'y a pas d'autre solution. Mais en tout cas, moi, aujourd'hui, je veux discuter les mystères de la Bible, la spiritualité. Puis moi, vous savez, ma spiritualité est quand même rock'n'roll, puis pas mal en arc-en-ciel, mais c'est une spiritualité rock'n'roll. Spiritualité rock'n'roll, il y a tellement de choses que je ne sais pas, mais quand je veux construire le temple de la déesse, oublier le temple de la déesse, oublier le temple de la déesse. DSS, oublié, puis c'est qui va construire? Ben, c'est les travailleurs en construction, sur les grues qui vont monter en haut, bien sûr, sur les chemins avec l'acier, puis le béton, puis la construction. Puis je suis vraiment un partisan des travailleurs en construction, vraiment un partisan des travailleurs en construction. C'est ça que je sais, bien sûr. Ben, je sais leur chanter des chansons pour les travailleurs en construction, mais je ne sais pas moi-même, j'ai pas toutes les informations, puis tout le savoir, comme il y en a d'autres qui sont des travailleurs de l'Hydro-Québec, mais c'est pour ça mes théories, puis mes analyses en tant que philosophe, artiste et athlète théoricien en géopolitique indépendant, c'est sûr que je complémente, parce qu'on est complémentaires en tant que citoyen moi-même, avec ma propre neurodivergence, mes propres souffrances, mes propres cicatrices. Maintenant, aujourd'hui, le 22 décembre, mais mon seul stress maintenant est financier, et j'ai de la nourriture, j'ai du sandwich, j'ai une connexion d'Internet, je peux regarder La Petite Vie quand même si je veux. Je vais pas regarder La Petite Vie ce soir, là, parce que c'est Academy Umbrella Academy que je dois regarder encore sur Netflix, mais c'est quand même quelque chose que ça a bien fait, pour avoir ces choses-là, parce que la civilisation, c'est un privilège, puis les infirmières, je dois leur savoir l'amour aux pompiers, aux infirmières, aux boulangers dans les boulangeries, ceux qui sont bien sûr dans les chemin de fer, le chemin de fer, ceux qui sont dans les camionneurs, imaginez-vous à travers le Canada, puis les États-Unis, puis même le Mexique qui fait partie de l'Amérique du Nord, tous les camions qui s'en vont de l'Est à l'Ouest, à droite, à gauche, bien sûr, et sur les autoroutes, c'est des choses qu'il faut savoir, bien sûr, comment on a dans un point de vue de géopolitique. Maintenant, qu'est-ce qui se passe en géopolitique? Bien sûr, c'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on passe dans un thème de la défense interne de l'Amérique du Nord, dans le point de vue de la défense interne. Puis moi, mes théories sont seulement pour la défense, seulement d'un point défensif, parce que bien sûr, j'ai pas vécu dans d'autres pays pour me prononcer exactement, même si j'étudie, je connais les situations géopolitiques, et puis d'autres potentiels conflits, puis les conflits qui existent, puis leur provenance, leurs origines, mais comme ici, je dis toujours, mais en Amérique du Nord, on a fait le grand compromis linguistique. Le grand compromis linguistique. Pour le français, pour avoir la continuité du français, du Québec, on a fait des grands compromis, on continue à le faire. En tant que Nord-Américain, on va devoir faire un compromis, même si moi-même, j'aurais vécu, puis j'aurais voté pour Kamala puis Joe Biden, j'aurais vécu moi-même pour Kamala puis Joe Biden, j'aurais vécu moi-même pour Kamala puis Joe Biden, tu sais. En tant que moi-même, si j'aurais vécu, j'aurais voté moi-même pour Joe Biden puis Kamala, parce que vous savez que moi, bien sûr, j'y crois à la réincarnation, là, puis plusieurs fois, j'étais né homme-femme, des fois homme, dans mes réincarnations. Maintenant, mais vous avez monsieur, madame, 50-50, je me considère moi-même androgyne, mais ça, c'est juste une partie de qui je suis en tant qu'artiste, athlète, philosophe et analyste théoricien en géopolitique, mais j'étais né aux États-Unis aussi. 3 fois après 1776, une fois femme, 2 fois homme, puis j'ai servi 156 ans à part, dans 2 guerres différentes, dans la même armée des États-Unis. Puis moi, c'est sûr que s'il y aurait une invasion, je serais le premier pour aller volontaire pour vous défendre, mais seulement pour la défense. Seulement pour la défense de côte à côte. C'est là, il faut que ça soit bien compris. Bien compris que c'est seulement pour la défense. seulement pour la défense, d'un point de vue défensif. Puis c'est sûr qu'il faut penser maintenant dans le contexte interne aussi, les potentiels sabotages qu'on peut en avoir fait, dans certains vis-à-vis qu'on a fait dans la situation actuelle géopolitique, puis l'engagement militaire avec d'autres États, puis qu'on s'est fait durant les 45 mois passés, des potentiels ennemis puissants, potentiels ennemis des pays, États, nations, États potentiels puissants. Aujourd'hui, bien sûr, je ne vais pas trop discuter de la géopolitique, je veux discuter les mystères de la Bible, dans le contexte de là que je dis déesse aussi. Puis bien sûr, moi-même, je peux être bien laïque, ça ne me dérange pas, bien laïque, comme des fois je ris avec du monde, puis ils disent, je veux rien savoir de la religion. Je dis, c'est pas grave, c'est une chanson de rock and roll, puis je fais du rock and roll, puis on peut rire ensemble, là, mais moi, en tant qu'Asperger, si j'offense le monde, il faut me le dire, c'est parce qu'on faut nous le dire, parce qu'on faut avoir patience avec les autistes monofonctionnels comme moi-même les Asperger, parce qu'on ne veut pas vraiment, on veut pas offenser les gens, c'est juste qu'il y a des choses qu'on ne sait pas, on est bizarre, puis les choses sociales sont plus difficiles pour les autistes monofonctionnels, pour les neurodivergents comme moi-même. Fait que dans ces cas-là, je peux dire je m'excuse, juste me le dire, si je vous ai offensé, je peux m'excuser, puis essayer de comprendre, puis il n'y a pas de problème, dans cet avis-là. Puis moi, j'aime pas la violence, mais je suis quand même hyper vigilant, quelqu'un qui a vécu avec la trompe, puis je pense discuter de mes cicatrices, puis mes trompes, puis toutes les choses, mais c'est ici que je suis mort de la COVID dans cette grotte de dragon arc-en-ciel en 2020, en février-mars 2020, j'ai survécu la COVID dans cette grotte, puis j'ai vraiment déménagé ici avec rien, voilà plus que 7 ans, puis j'ai fait bien du travail en géopolitique, et puis en rock'n'roll, puis artiste, puis aujourd'hui, je dois vous dire que je veux bâtir le temple de la déesse oubliée, le temple de la déesse oubliée parallèlement. Je veux bâtir le Colisée du peuple impérial, le Colisée du peuple nord-américain impérial, le Colisée du peuple nord-américain. C'est sûr que je vais avoir besoin de collaboration là, avec les travailleurs en construction, mais qu'est-ce que je dois mettre sur la table? Des bisous, des chatouilles, des câlins, des lavages de pieds, mais je peux en mettre ça, parce que le blablabla, parce que je sais que blablabla, ça va pas bouger les pyramides, là, ça va pas bouger les pyramides, puis on peut en bâtir des pyramides. Ici, notre pyramide nord-américaine dans le 21e siècle ensemble, Québécois, Québécoises et Canadiens, on va pouvoir bouger les montagnes ensemble et construire, bâtir les 44 tunnels dans le cas qu'il y a une guerre thermonucléaire en dehors de l'Amérique du Nord. Fait que la déesse oubliée dans la Bible, il y a les mystères, il y a bien des mystères. Un des mystères, si on lit dans la Bible, bien sûr, parce que là, Noël s'en vient, tu sais, Jésus puis Marie-Magdalène. Marie-Magdalène, c'est là qui disent que c'est l'épouse de Jésus, puis c'est possible que c'était l'épouse, puis même une prêtresse de la déesse. C'est possible, parce que dans la Bible, on peut trouver que ça parle de la déesse. Ça parle de la déesse Artémis. Dans un Acte 2, ça parle de la déesse Artémis, Puis bien sûr, si on retourne avec le roi Salomon, c'est écrit qu'il a marié la fille du pharaon. Dans 1 roi 1.3, dans le Vieux Testament, que ça s'appelle l'Ancien Testament, on voit que Salomon est marié avec la fille du pharaon. C'est écrit dans la Bible. Fait que la déesse est là dans la Bible. Comme que je disais en anglais tantôt, mais comme les pyramides, la déesse, c'est un dieu, il y a de la déesse sur ma table de spiritualité. Je dis aussi la déesse. C'est un dieu, il y a de la déesse. C'est un dieu, il y a de la déesse aussi. T'sais? Fait que c'est ça le mystère du divin féminin aussi. C'est écrit dans la Bible, bien sûr, de Moïse, on retourne plus en arrière, en ancienne Égypte, parce que c'est la continuité de cette spiritualité de Moïse. Avec Moïse, après ça Jésus, David, Salomon, puis c'est écrit, la sœur de Moïse, il y a le mot prophétesse, comme un prophète, mais le féminin prophétesse. Fait que cette appellation-là, c'est sûr que ça a été connexion avec la déesse. Quand il dit qu'elle a dansé, il y a une connexion directe avec le mystère de la déesse. Comprenez? Parce que c'est là, c'est écrit là-bas. Puis bien sûr, on retourne, on lit d'Israël, bien sûr, Israël, puis les 12 tribus. Ça retourne dans l'Antiquité. 3500 ans, 1500 ans avant Jésus de Nazareth, puis avant l'Empire romain, c'est plus que 3000 ans. Là. qu'on retourne avant Salomon et Israël, les 12 tribus d'Israël, puis on lit dans Genèse 50, si on lit dans l'Ancien Testament, dans Genèse 50, ça dit qu'il a été embaumé, puis on fait les rites, les rituels de 40 et de 70 jours, de 40 puis de 70 jours, de 40 puis de 70 jours. Ces rituels funéraires, ils étaient liés main en main avec la spiritualité occulte de l'Ancienne Égypte, ça. La spiritualité occulte de l'Ancienne Égypte, la spiritualité occulte de l'Ancienne Égypte connectée avec la déesse. Puis, ça, quand on dit l'histoire de Joseph, il a marié Asénath. Asénath, il a dit à Marianne Asénath. Ce nom, Asénath, c'est connecté avec le nom d'une déesse de l'Ancienne Égypte. Vous voyez? Fait que la déesse est présente dans les... Quand on regarde comme les pyramides sont présentes, même dans la Bible, la déesse est présente. C'est pas juste Dieu. Pas juste Dieu, c'est la déesse aussi. C'est qu'il y a eu les prêtresses du temps de Salomon, puis avant, ils ont été réprimés. Ils ont été réprimés. Vous comprenez? Dans l'histoire du développement du christianisme et tout ça. Je ne vais pas dire de Da Vinci, là, le code Da Vinci, puis quoi que ce soit, là, mais c'est ça les mystères. Mais la déesse est dans la Bible. C'est là, mais il faut déchiffrer, puis il faut avoir un peu d'études bibliques, mais la déesse est présente. Puis Salomon, puis il dit, ben Pharaon, dans ce temps-là, les pharaons, ils n'auraient pas donné leur fille s'ils n'auraient pas été dans la même dynastie, puis dans la même famille. C'est ça que c'est... Vous comprenez? C'est des mystères. C'est des mystères. Se dit, ouais, comment ça? Oui, c'est écrit ça. Mais c'est sûr qu'il y a plus de mystères et de questions que de réponses dans d'autres choses. Puis là, si on lit, tu sais, dans le temps avec Moïse, sa sœur est appelée prophétesse. Mais prophétesse, dans ce mot, comment il est traduit, c'est dans la relation avec les rituels qu'elle faisait, la danse pour la déesse. Pour la déesse, vous comprenez? Puis, bien sûr, avec, quand ça dit l'exode, dans l'exode de l'Égypte, ça a été beaucoup perdu dans la traduction, parce que le mot esclave, c'est pas esclave, c'est servant, serviteur, comme quelqu'un qui vous sert, comme vous venez chez nous, on construit ensemble la maison du dragon écarlate rouge, je vais avoir les portes ouvertes, je vais vous servir, tu sais, en nourriture, que ce soit, je vais vous chanter, je vais vous servir moi-même. Je ne vais pas être votre esclave, là, mais je vais pouvoir vous servir d'une manière avec le rock'n'roll, puis des bisous, des chatouilles, pas de problème, même avec mon autisme, là, il va falloir que... Mais c'est ça. Mais... Puis le mystère, bien sûr, dans l'ancienne Égypte, ça dit bien sûr qu'il y a les 42 journées des enfants d'Israël dans la Bible. Encore une fois, ce chiffre 42, c'est encore une fois relié avec l'ancienne religion mystique de l'ancienne Égypte. Puis c'est connecté avec la déesse, Mat. Fondamentalement, une déesse avec plusieurs manifestations, mais ça veut dire l'établissement de la justice, que ça faisait bien sûr de la justice. Il fallait qu'il y ait un ordre d'harmonie de justice. Fait que c'est ça la connexion avec le mystère, l'occulte, la spiritualité mystique occulte de l'ancienne Égypte. Fait que la déesse est présente dans la Bible. C'est juste qu'il a été là, tu sais, c'est juste que ces mystères-là ils ont été couverts, si je peux vous dire. Il n'y a pas eu de révélation complète. Il y a eu des, comme ça dit un peu dans le Da Vinci Code, là, mais c'est quand même des choses, des mystères. Là. Puis je dis, ben la déesse n'a pas besoin de moi, bien sûr, mais les pyramides, ça reste. Puis je suis de la poussière, mais poussière d'arc-en-ciel aussi, qui a des défauts, qui n'est pas parfait, là, qui est autiste, qui a l'Asperger's, puis qui est en crise financière maintenant, mais qui a quand même un couple de solutions vis-à-vis ensemble, l'intelligence, les gens, vous êtes famille, puis je veux bâtir le temple de la déesse oubliée, le temple de la déesse oubliée, parallèlement au complexe, le Colisée du peuple nord-américain, le Colisée du peuple nord-américain. C'est ça qu'il faut faire ensemble. Puis aujourd'hui, bien sûr, une chanson pour les fêtes. Les fêtes, je vous envoie les pompiers et les camionneurs avec une chanson de temps de fête. Les lumières, ça brûle, l'Hydro-Québec, ça chante. De la danse, les mains dans les airs, on bouge des orteils, puis la lumière. La lumière, les étoiles, les sapins, de Noël, ça bouge de la droite à la gauche. Ça fait des pompes qui rosent. On va bouger les montagnes ensemble, la neige tombe. Il fait frais de -11, ça sent comme le vent. Les îles au Québec, ça avance, ça recule, ça monte en Amérique du Nord dans le Québec, la belle province. Des lacs, on patine, ça rouille, ça bouge, ça neige, ça glace, ça chante. Hey, avec le lait de poule, ça danse, ça trappe.